Defense Grid 2. It came out in 2014, and overall, it's just as much fun as Defense Grid, but overall, I would say the first Defense Grid is a little bit better. But the main thing that I kind of have an issue with in Defense Grid 2 is Defense Grid 1, your ability to put up the towers, it depended on you killing the aliens. The aliens would die, you would get resources for the aliens. In Defense Grid 2, every second that goes by in the game, you get 10 resources. So you build depending on how much resources you have, and instead of getting them from the aliens, you just get them from seemingly just nowhere, I guess, because there's no complete explanation for it exactly. You just get resources. And I kind of like that, resources were extracted from the deaths of your enemies. It kind of had that realistic feel to it. In this game, I'm not saying that either one of these Defense Grid 1 or 2 went for any sense of realism. I'm not saying that. But it still engaged you because you had that sense of, I don't have these resources, and I'm not going to have these resources until I kill these aliens. Whereas Defense Grid 2, it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about not having resources until the very end of the match, of the level. Because when you get to the end of the level and you get to the last wave of enemies coming at you, it stops giving you resources. And then you magically you get a bonus to resources after the final enemies are killed. And I'm just like, why would you even bother giving me resources after we completed the last one? And I think that what that means is it was linked to the very last aliens that came in. So 98% of the level, you're just getting resources. Whereas the very last wave, if you're able to kill the alien soon enough, you get the resources, you get a bonus 2 resources for killing that enemy. But the problem that I have with that is you'd be able to kill the enemies sooner if you had the resources and you're able to put it up. So it kind of like contradicts itself. You kill the enemy soon enough, you get enough resources to put up a final placement of the final level of towers to kill them. And so it's like, I don't know, it creates this kind of confusion where it's like, I'm most of the time you're not going to be able to kill the aliens until the very last minute of the level, and then you get the resources, and you're not even going to bother using those resources because there's no aliens left. And so it's like, doesn't really make sense. But overall, this game is almost as good as Defense Grid 1. That's really the only problem that I personally have with it. So the characters, once again, instead of having one AI, you actually have a multitude of AIs, and I believe a real person character. Like you have a few different AIs that talk amongst each other, kind of gripe with each other and stuff like that. And then you have another character, another person that is real, like is still alive, still a human person. Because these AIs supposedly, like, they used to be human and then their memories got put into an AI machine or something. So you do get a little bit more story in this one than you did the last one. The last one, the story was just a single AI, and it seemed like he was remembering things from when he was alive. So you also got a taste of that, but then you get a taste of, like, apparently there's a lot of AIs and they used to be human, and they can also get corrupted by the aliens. So the aliens, you get you get a level of intelligence from them. Like, they're not just, wandering animals that are just wanting to grab your cores. Like, they are intelligent beings that are grabbing your cores for a specific reason. And so you do get a little bit more story from Defense Grid 2 than you did in the first one, but it's not something that you're going to be like, I gotta play Defense Grid 2 because the story is so good. You're going to play Defense Grid 2 because Defense Grid 1 was so much fun to play, and Defense Grid 2 is so much fun to play as far as actually fighting the enemies and figuring out the pattern that you need to use, the strategy that you need to perform in each level to beat the aliens and keep them from getting your cores. That is what's going to pull you into this game. So we just left an average rating for the characters once again. The gameplay, yet again, very, very high. The expectation of having fun with this game, I can't give it the only way I could give it a higher than I do is if it was Defense Grid 1. That's the only way. It's almost as fun. It's the same kind of setup. And I think, honestly, the younger generation of gamers will actually like this game more because it doesn't look like an Xbox 360 game. It looks like an early Xbox One game. The graphics have been improved a lot and are much better than in the first Defense Grid. And so I feel like people will, there would be a group of people that I fall into that category of, I like Defense Grid 1 more because of the challenge. It is really, really hard. It's really difficult. Very, very challenging. Defense Grid 2, it's still challenging when you get up into those later levels. It gets to be pretty challenging, but it doesn't have quite that effect, quite the same effect than that Defense Grid 1 had for me. Whereas it's like Defense Grid 2, I catch myself saying, I'm going to go play Defense Grid 2 to give myself a break from the challenge of Defense Grid 1. Whereas I know there's some people that would come into it and they would say, I'm not going to bother with Defense Grid 1. I'll just play Defense Grid 2 because it just looks better. There is going to be a group of people that are going to be jumping into this game rather than Defense Grid 1. It does look better. The gun animations are better. The aliens are more detailed. The structures look way better. Everything has been graphically improved in this game, and it's very nice. It's very awesome. Very good looking for the most part. The crafting, it's pretty much the same as Defense Grid 1. You have the green level turrets, the starter turrets. You put them down. You get a certain amount of resources. You can upgrade them to a yellow or a level 2, and then you can upgrade them again to a level 3 red. The difference with this one, though, is the animations, like I just said, have been much more improved. The most noticeable one for me is the cannon. It literally has this like shift effect with the cannon, especially when you get it to level 3 red. It's cool. It looks realistic when it fires, and like it jumps back and then it adjusts itself forward again. It's really cool to see. Even the animations of leveling up from like a green to a yellow or a yellow to a red, the animation of it going back down into the ground and then coming back up has been improved quite a bit. And it's actually fun to watch them go from, it's still a good looking turret, but your standard green to your yellow to your red, the difference is very noticeable as far as like the improvement of what's going on with the aesthetic, the skin of the turrets. It's a significant difference between that. And the weapons, all of them are the same. You have the same ones as you did from the first one: the gun, the laser, the inferno, the cannon, the missile, the Tesla, the concussion, um, and I might be missing some. I know I missed some from Defense Grid 1 review, but you know, nobody's perfect. But they're all the same. They've just been graphically improved, and they've added a few things into the types of ammo. So this is really cool. This is a nice little touch where you have different ammo types. You know, one type is your standard average ammo. Another type might poison the aliens. Another type might set the aliens on fire. Another type might slow them down. It's really cool. As you play the game and stuff, you'll unlock different types of ammo for each of the turrets, and it's really cool to see what you might get next. And they, like I said before, they went from one AI to three AIs and a fourth person. For those AIs, those different AIs, they have a special ability. So in Defense Grid 1, if you thought maybe an alien would be able to take off with your cores and you had to do something in a pinch and you had to, you had an emergency, kill that alien now, you had this orbital laser that came down and killed the aliens in a certain small area. The laser would come down and it would kill them. In this game, you have three different types of things. You have the orbital laser, you have this thing where it shoots down and it temporarily slows the alien down for a pretty significant period of time compared to like the temporal's ability to slow them down. This slows them down for a much longer period of time than the temporals do. And so that's pretty cool. And the third one I don't remember because I never use it, but it's just really cool. The point is, like, instead of having one emergency ability, you have three different ones that you can choose from. But the catch is, and this is what I also had a problem with, you introduce three different abilities. You have all three AIs interacting with each other in each level. And yeah, like, there's like a part where the AI disappears for a couple levels and then comes back. During those levels, you shouldn't have that AI's ability. You shouldn't be able to pick it. So that would be actually something that would help further the story. But in each level, at the beginning of the level, you have to pick just one of those three abilities to have when you're playing that level. You can't use all three. And I thought that was, I don't know, a little bit of a misstep because they're all three there. Why can't you have all three of the abilities and just make it to where, like, when you have that ability in the game and you use it, you have a timer. You have like 5 minutes, I think, something like that, before it recharges and you can use it again. Why not make all of them have timers, or make it to where you can only use two of them one time, and then like the one that, like, you select like a main and like two backups, for example. Like the main one would regenerate over time. The other two, you can only use them once per level. I feel like that would have made more sense because the AIs are going to want to help you defeat these aliens. So I don't understand why they wouldn't have something implemented where you could use all the AI's abilities that they have. But overall, it's still very high. The weapons are overall still really, really cool. The voice acting, it's still low because it's like you go into the game and after a while, and this goes with the problem of tower defense. If you're going for like no cores taken like I always do, you're going to restart the level quite a few times, and so you're going to have to hear that dialogue over and over and over again. And that, unfortunately, is just the way it's going to be for the game. And the AIs talking amongst each other, like in the first Defense Grid, I literally ignored what the AI was saying. But now there's like dialogue between them and stuff, and it starts to get a little bit annoying after a while hearing them talk and say the same things over and over and over again. And so, yeah, voice acting is still low. Not saying that they didn't do good as far as like the voice acting itself. It's just the dialogue is just, I don't know. It's just not that great. A little bit annoying. Um, and the music, it's still average. It's not something that you're not gonna be humming it in your head, or humming it or playing it in your head when you're going and doing something. It's not memorable. It's not horrible. It's not, but it's not memorable. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Defense Grid. Just like the first Defense Grid 2, the expectation going into this game should be very high. You're going to get, just like the first one, you're going to get um, a lot of replayability. You have a lot of bonus things beside uh, bonus things to do besides the story. The one I personally like is there's a setting for playing the same level outside of the storyline where you get 100 waves instead of just like anywhere between 25 to 30 waves. That was fun. I really enjoyed doing the 100 waves on certain levels. And so there's a lot of replayability in this game. And so anybody that likes tower defense, you're gonna really enjoy Defense Grid 2. And depending on what group you fall into, you might like Defense Grid 1 a little bit more because of the challenge, but Defense Grid 2, it does look better. So take that as you will. It's okay to want to play a game that looks better, and it's okay to want to play a game that's more challenging. So either way, you're going to get a lot of time, and you're not going to feel like you're wasting your time playing this game, especially if you like tower defense. In my personal opinion, you're not going to find a better tower defense game than Defense Grid 1 or Defense Grid 2. And with that being said, I will catch you guys on the next one. All right. Later.